This is Jennifer. Thank you for joining me as we take a walk through the recipes that have built the culinary foundation of my family. Today we're going to be making a basic quiche recipe that you can add to or subtract and really make your own. We're going to begin by chopping one bundle of green onions or scallions. When we named our channel Pope's Plates Generational Recipes, we really started with the foundation of my mother's, grandmother's, and great-grandmother's recipes. But all recipes have to start somewhere. And this quiche recipe starts with me. I made it once or twice, and then I kind of tweaked it and made it my own. And now it's kind of the thing I'm known for. If I'm going to a party, people ask me to bring it. And it's easy and it's fun to make in bulk. One of the things you may see is that I'm using 2 pie shells here. I almost always make 2 or 4 quiche at a time. Part of that is because the deep dish pie crust come in a package of 2. And yes, I know that you can make your own pie crust, and if you can do that, go for it. I am not good at that, and so I buy the deep dish pie crust, and they come in a package of 2, so I usually always make 2. As you can see, I have distributed the green onions fairly easily into 2 deep dish pie crusts shells, and then next we're going to add the cheese. My preference in this classic quiche is to use 3 different cheeses: grated Swiss, grated Parmesan, and grated cheddar. Is it better to use it fresh off the block that you grate yourself? Absolutely. It melts more easily. But if you don't have that and you have pre-grated cheese on hand, you can go ahead and use that. So we've added 1/2 cup of grated Swiss cheese, 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and 3/4 cup of grated yellow cheddar, I prefer sharp, cheese. And we're going to add each one of those to our pie crust shells. Okay, you're going to notice now that our onions are kind of buried under our cheese. And so what I do, and I use my fingers, feel free to use a spoon or a fork if you want to. My hands are clean. I just mix it up. I make sure that everything is evenly distributed. You're going to want to do this if you add sausage or vegetables or, ham, spinach. But one of the things that's really important is that if you're adding an ingredient that's kind of wet, like tomatoes, you want to make sure they're very evenly distributed, because if they all are on the bottom, then your crust is going to be incredibly soggy on the bottom. You may notice that I dropped some shells in our eggs. That happens to me all the time, and one of the best ways to get a small piece of shell out of eggs that have already been cracked is to use a bigger piece of shell to dip it in there and dig it out. I've also noticed when I was making this that the eggs were a little smaller than I am accustomed to, and so I added some more eggs. I would much rather have more of the egg mixture than less of the egg mixture, and at the end I'll tell you what you can do with leftovers. To our eggs, we're going to add 1 cup heavy whipping cream. That's 1/2 cup for each quiche, and 1 cup sour cream. Again, that's 1/2 cup for each of the quiches. And then I'm going to add a pinch of salt or pepper to taste. This is a time that you can also add other herbs or spices. For example, if I were to make a smoked salmon quiche, smoked salmon and feta sounds wonderful, I would probably add dill or parsley. So you can make it your own. Sometimes in this rendition of quiche, I add Italian herb mix, but this time I just wanted to keep it pretty basic. And what we're going to do is you're going to use an electric hand mixer to mix this. If you don't have one, the quiche will still work, but you really want to use an electric hand mixer on a really high setting because you want to whip in as much air as possible into your egg and cream mixture. As you can see, as I continue to mix, the egg mixture gets frothier and frothier. The other thing that is important to remember when you're making this quiche is that once you mix the egg mixture well, you're going to want to put it in the quiche as soon as possible, quiche shells. And so you want to see these bubbles and a little bit of foam froth in your egg if possible, if you're able to use an electric hand mixer. If not, just try to use a fork or a whisk as quickly as possible to whip air into it. The next thing you're going to want to make sure you have is a ladle or a deep spoon. And you're going to begin to ladle your egg mixture one ladle at a time into the pie crust shells. And you're also going to want to not just pour it all in one place, but sort of spread it out because that egg mixture has to sink through to the bottom all the cheese and the vegetables. And you can see on the screen what I'm talking about. It just makes it easier. And I personally, because I usually make more than one quiche, I'll ladle egg mixture into one and give it a chance to settle while I'm ladling it into the second one. It just keeps one section from being more eggy than the other. Now, before we add the quiche to a cookie sheet, you don't have to put it on a cookie sheet, but I spill things if I don't. We're going to lift the quiche up like an inch off the counter and drop it. You're just going to allow some of the, if there are any air pockets, to pop and everything to be a little bit more spread out a little bit more evenly. And I usually put 2 quiche on any cookie sheet. Again, it just makes it easier to load and unload. You're going to want to cook your quiche on 350 degrees for 45 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. If you make this, please tell us how you like it. And if you added something that we didn't add, we would love to hear about it in the comment section below. Thanks. Thanks for visiting Pope's Plates. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Click the notification bell so that you'll know when we have new videos available. And make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Until I see you again, let's get cooking.